winner of the Pioneer Award and the Jim Reeves Memorial Award from the Academy of Country Music, 2 Golden Boot Awards, inducted into the Hall of Great Western Performers at the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum, twice inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame as a member of the Sons of the Pioneers and as a soloist, awarded 3 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, 1 each for radio, television, and motion pictures. He was the #1 Western box office star from 1943 to 1954. He was truly, as his son Dusty sings, the king of the Cowboys.
He's rolled across your silver screen for over 40 years. He's brought bad men to justice. He's seen laughter and he's seen tears. And I know forever in many hearts he'll reign as the king of the Cowboys. There is honor to his name. He's a kind and gentle legend, a hero is his fame, showing young folks to see the right from wrong, and he's taught me the very same. And I know forever in many hearts he'll reign as the king of the Cowboys. There is magic in his name. He's the king of the Cowboys, a legend in his time, a man who loves his country, where he will always ride. Saddled up on his golden Palomino, with a 6-gun by each side, in his boots and spurs and his white hat, rides a man with a lot of pride. And I know forever in many hearts he'll reign as the king of the Cowboys. There is honor to his name. King of the Cowboys, a legend in his time, a man who loves his country, where he will always ride, riding off into the sunset in a western sky of blue. He has given us precious memories and happy trails for me and you.
I'm Tom Morehouse, the History Collector. I grew up in a house filled with stories full of history. My grandfather Frank was a motorcycle police officer in Bergen County, New Jersey, across the river from New York City during Prohibition. Before that, he was a sergeant in the U.S. Army and fought in the Battle of the Argonne Forest. Earlier, at least according to him, he rode with Blackjack Pershing in search of Pancho Villa. In 1960, I learned I had the same birthday as John F. Kennedy, the man who was running for president, and that my dad, like Kennedy, had served on a PT boat during World War II. The following year began the centennial of the Civil War, and with it my lifelong habit of collecting, and through collecting, learning about history. When I was a history teacher, I took every opportunity I had to introduce my students to my collections. Now, it's your turn. Well, howdy, partners, and welcome to another edition of the History Collector. This time around, we'll be looking at the life and career of an American legend and my childhood idol, Roy Rogers, who was born just 8 years after the first Western-themed movie, The Great Train Robbery, was made by the Edison Film Company and filmed at the Edison Studios in Essex County Park in New Jersey and along the Lackawanna Railroad.
The Western genre grew out of two distinct traditions, the Wild West show and the early frontier stories best exemplified by the works of James Fenimore Cooper. From the Wild West shows, the Western would take its distinctive look and style. The bucking broncos, the 10-gallon hats, the six-shooters, and the last-minute rescue of the beleaguered settlers by the cavalry were all taken from these shows. From Cooper's frontier stories, the genre would take its characters and themes. Natty Bumppo, the protagonist of Cooper's Leatherstocking Tales, the most famous of which is The Last of the Mohicans, is a perennial outsider.
Chingachgook, you warned me about people like you.
Oh, he did?
He said, do not try to understand them. Yes, and do not try to make them understand you. That is because they are a breed apart and make no sense.
A man whose violent and naturalistic ways put him at odds with civilization, yet whose unique skills and capacity for violence are necessary in order to bring civilization about. Most Western heroes would either conform to or attempt to subvert this archetype. From Cooper, we also get the central conflict of the Western, the wilderness versus civilization. The popular narrative is that the Western served as a justification for manifest destiny, the triumph of civilization over the wilderness and of white Europeans over indigenous Indian nations. But many Westerns would take a different tack, portraying civilization as corrupt, while the wilderness offers an escape to a more pure and wholesome way of living.
Well, they're saved from the blessings of civilization.
Most Westerns exist somewhere between these two extremes. Cooper's works, for example, portray the wilderness as a place where civilization can be purified and reborn.
This is the story of a land, of the people who lived on it in the year 1870, and of a man whose name was Cochise. He was an Indian, leader of the Chiricahua Apache tribe.
Westerns borrow very generously from actual history, but are rarely beholden to it. Most, though certainly not all, take place between the end of the Civil War and the end of the Mexican Revolution in 1920. The events most commonly portrayed or referred to in Westerns are the gunfight at the OK Corral, the Battle of Little Bighorn, and the Lincoln County War, all of which took place in this period. Major historical figures that show up time and time again in Westerns, whether in name or figuratively, include Jesse James, Wyatt Earp, General Custer, Cochise, Geronimo, and Billy the Kid. Early silent Westerns were not all that different from Wild West shows. Edwin S. Porter's The Great Train Robbery is the most famous example of this. One of the bank robbers from that film was played by Gilbert Anderson, better known as Bronco Billy. Bronco Billy went on to star in over 100 short Western films for the S&A Film Manufacturing Company, a movie studio that he founded. He was the first major star of what would become known as the series Western. Meanwhile, big-time directors such as D.W. Griffith and Thomas H. Ince were producing more serious and sophisticated Western shorts. Already, the two great traditions of the Western movie genre, the A-Western and the B-Western, were emerging. William S. Hart came onto the scene in 1914 in Reginald Barker's The Bargain. Prior to this, Hart had been a stage actor, but was attracted to the new medium of film. Hart would quickly become the preeminent Western film star, and he established the image that all others would follow. The archetype of the strong, silent, stoic, good-bad guy who starts off as an outlaw or gambler and is redeemed by the end of the story was established by Hart. His films, many of which he helped to direct, though he went uncredited, were known for their gritty realism and melodramatic qualities. Most of them were produced by Thomas H. Ince. Hart, who was a real-life friend of both Wyatt Earp and Bat Masterson, insisted on a certain amount of grit and authenticity in his films. 1916's Hell's Hinges, directed by Charles Swickwood, along with Hart himself, is, in many ways, the definitive Hart Western. In it, Hart's character, Blaze Tracy, a hard-living gunfighter, is won over by Clara Williams Faith, the sister of Reverend Bob Henley, the town's newly arrived minister. This eventually leads to a confrontation between the peaceful, church-going folks and the saloon owner, played by Alfred Hollingsworth. It's an uncharacteristically dark film for its time, ending with Blaze setting the town on fire in retaliation for the destruction of Henley's church. Blaze then rides off into the sunset with Faith, whose brother is killed in the conflict. Like most of Hart's other films, it is short on action scenes, with the only shootout taking place near the end of the movie. There's also some pretty decent stunt work, as Hart was an accomplished writer and did most of his own stunts. His horse, Fritz, was a forerunner to other famous Western movie horses like Roy Rogers' Trigger and Tom Mix's Tony. Hart's laconic style set the standard for later Western stars like Gary Cooper, Randall Scott, and of course John Wayne, but he would soon be eclipsed by another, much more flamboyant actor. While William Hart was rising to prominence, an actor named Tom Mix was beginning his career doing obscure two-reel westerns for the Selig Polyscope Company. Mix is an intriguing figure. After leaving a promising career in the military, he went out west and took various jobs in law enforcement, before finding more permanent employment at the Miller Brothers 101 Ranch. Mix became a star in the Wild West show circuit, a business he would promote until his death. Attracted to the new motion picture industry, Mix would go on to eclipse William Hart in popularity after joining with the Fox Film Corporation in 1917. Contributing to Mix's stardom were the myths that the studios intentionally perpetuated about him.
The life of Tom Mix, you see him here with his wife Victoria Ford, was punctuated by adventures as thrilling as those of any fictitious character he ever portrayed.
In the public eye, Mix was a war hero who fought in the Spanish-American War, the Boxer Rebellion in China, and even the Boer War in Africa, and a famous lawman. In truth, though he did serve in the army, Mix never went overseas, and his career as a lawman was brief and uneventful. While Hart was the prototype of the stoic Western hero, Mix would become the model for the charismatic, fun-loving heroes of the series Westerns. So-called because their stars were contracted by the studio to make a series of films, these pictures were short and inexpensive, and the studios cranked out literally dozens of them every year. Stars like Ken Manyard, Buck Jones, William Boyd, Gene Autry, Roy Rogers, and countless others would thrive in this market. More than 2,000 series westerns were produced between 1930 and 1954, and it remained an essential part of the movie market until the 50s. These films had straightforward plots, clearly defined heroes and villains, and were heavy on stunt work and action. Mix thrived in these movies thanks to his athletic abilities and his natural showmanship.
Of course, my friends and I had no idea who any of those guys were. Our hero was Roy Rogers, and he must have been born in Texas, right?
I was born Leonard Sly in Cincinnati, Ohio, back in 1911. My dad and his brother, they built a houseboat when I was just a little fella. And they put us on that boat and headed for Portsmouth, Ohio from Cincinnati. And I don't know how long it took them to get there, but they had somebody pushing or pulling them all the way. We lived in that boat till I was about 7 years old. When the flood came, I was about a year and a half old, and I can remember some scenes that just scared me to death. That's the reason it impressed me, and I can remember them when I was that little. And we took the old houseboat and went out Waller Street in Portsmouth, and we were picking people off the tops of the houses and put them on the boats.
Me and the rolling hills, I know how to cure my ills. Whenever I'm blue.
When Pop bought that farm, 87 acres way out in a little place called Duck Run, that was quite a change in my life. After living on a boat all that time, it was really something.
Me and the rolling hills.
That's my mom.
There's your mom.
Bless her heart. I lost her in 1958. She was 76. She was crippled all of her life, and of course we always loved her and respected that. The older I get, the more I look like my dad.
Pop.
You see that? Yeah.
Yeah, you look like Pop.
Yeah.
Somewhere out there on the prairie alone, my guardian angel divine is there at rest somewhere in the west, that kind dear mother of mine.
She never did call me Roy. She says, honey, I just can't call you Roy. I said, well, you call me Leonard, and she did.
She called me Leonard from right up until the end. But I can understand it. You know, I was her baby boy and the only boy. But I had 3 lovely sisters, and we just had a great family. Back in those days, we entertained, like 3 sisters and I, and my dad and mom played mandolin guitar. And so we all learned to play the mandolin guitar, and we sang together just as a country family way back in the hills, way back in the farm. And that what we'd do in the evenings instead of, we didn't have radio and stuff like that. And we entertained ourselves. The neighbors would come over. We'd have square dances. And I learned to call square dances by the time I was 10 years old.
Meet your honey and a pat her on the head. She don't like biscuit, feed her cornbread, and chew on the back and squirt her on the wall and thing that gal she ain't too tall.
When I was about 11 or 12 years old, seemed like all I did was gather eggs and shovel crap. They'll harness up the mules and they hitch them to the plow. I fed them a 3 from the old hay mow. Before the day is the breaking, I'm about to begin. I'm just a buckeye cowboy from OH-10.
Yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-oh. He's a buckeye cowboy from Ohio.
Pop was a city boy. He didn't know anything about farming. In fact, one of the mules kicked him and almost crippled him. He worked in a shoe factory in Portsmouth, and he'd only come home every 2 or 3 weeks. I was the only boy, so all the nice jobs got shoved off on me. Well, I got 2 years of high school. That was the beginning of the Depression.
We got up that morning about 4:30 and we were working in the shoe factory. My dad says, son, let's quit our jobs and go to California. So I said, well, that sounds great, Dad. I'd already saved up about $90. I'd buy a lot of gas.
We slept on the ground at night. We didn't have too many motels in those times. We had this old 1923 Dodge sedan. I don't think we drove very far each day because it took us about 2 weeks to come out from Ohio, Cincinnati to California. I got to see a lot of the stuff that I'd dreamed about and drove through coming to California, but I never thought I'd ever be working on pictures when I came out here. Well, you'd take any kind of a job that you could get. I picked peaches in Tulare, California in 1931 all summer. And after that, I said there must be an easier way to make a living. And I started looking around, you couldn't find anything. So that's how I got in show business. I got in because I needed something to do.
I get some slickum on my hair and put on my Sunday pants. My pay in my pocket, now I'm heading for the dance. There's a pretty gal a-waiting there, I've got to win. I'm just a buckeye cowboy from Ohio.
The winner will receive $50 or a week's engagement with the...
It was just impossible to find a job.
You really need a job?
I sure do. He's broke.
Okay, cowboy, I'll keep my word. What's the matter with giving him a chance to sing right now?
That's the idea. Give him a chance.
There was an amateur show on a radio station in Inglewood in those days. It was called a Midnight Frolic.
This ambitious young man.
So my sister talked me into going up there and trying out, auditioning.
What's your name?
Roy Rogers, but don't go away. I'm kind of scared.
Presenting in his first appearance, Roy Rogers, the singing cowboy.
I'll never forget, I was scared to death. I was about 18 at that time.
A gay ranchero, a caballero, can always find someone to pair.
About 3 days later, I got a call from a guy by the name of Eb Bowen. He said, I heard you the other night, and we'd like you to join our group, the Rocky Mountaineers. And that's basically the starting of my musical and entertaining career.
And now a brief musical interlude. Well, what do you want, Windbag?
That's something for you, Marty.
All I want out of you is a little quiet.
Oh, I got something better than that.
We couldn't quite make it with the Rocky Mountaineers. We had a rough time. I got tired of living on chipped beef and gravy. And I went with another group called the International Cowboys.
I don't want any cowboys. But they just look like cowboys. They're really singers.
Gabby, I got a whole cabinet full of singers.
Oh, you ain't got none as good as them, fella.
And over a period of the next 3 or 4 years, in the 3 or 4 groups, I organized the Sons of the Pioneers.
For
All day I faced a barren waste without the taste of water. Cool water.
We found a boarding house just two blocks away from KFWB at $9 a week, room and board each person. Can you imagine that? And that's 3 meals a day. So we holed up there, and that's where the Sons of the Pioneers learned all these songs.
Say, Ben, I got the greatest Western novelty you ever heard of. The Sons of the Pioneers. They're terrific. I can get them for you wholesale.
We took a barnstorming trip down through New Mexico, Arizona, and Texas, 1933.
Yes, your old singing group, the Sons of the Pioneers. Here they are. Hugh Farr, Carl Farr, Pat Brady, Roy Perriman, and Tim Spencer, and there they are. Now, you fellas are the original group that barnstormed with Roy, aren't you, Hugh?
That's right. We traveled all over the West together. And it's amazing how far it was between meals.
I'll tell you what, we were either hungry or we were starving, so we just sing to give our mouth something to do. We never counted any sheep to go to sleep. We always counted roast lamb. Well, Tim, didn't you get paid when you sang at the radio station?
Well, no, but we got a lot of publicity. And we also got a few pies, you know. I remember one particular place in Roswell, New Mexico.
And we started kidding one another over the air what we like to eat. And people started bringing us chicken, fried chicken.
Oh, that's great.
I liked lemon cream pies.
Yeah.
And one day I got a call if I would sing the Swiss Yodel, they would have us 2 big, beautiful lemon meringue pies at our motel that night. Well, I sang the song as best I knew how. And that evening, sure enough, here come a young lady and her mother over with 2 of the most beautiful lemon pies. They were about that thick. And we couldn't wait for them to leave so we could inhale those things. And that's how I met my first wife.
And have an alpine honeymoon.
The year before the wedding, the Sons of the Pioneers got their start in pictures. Under his real name, Leonard Sly, Roy and the Sons of the Pioneers made 7 films in 1935. Radio Scout released in May, Slightly Static also released in May. That's Roy, second from the right in the rear. Bronco Buster, an Oswald Rabbit cartoon, released in August. Tumbling Tumbleweeds, a Gene Autry film, released in September. The Old Homestead, released in October, and Gallant Defender, a Charles Sturrett film, also released in October. And Way Up Bar, released in November. You can see Roy seated playing guitar, second from right. In 1936, the Sons of the Pioneers appeared in 6 films, beginning in January with The Mysterious Avenger, another Charles Sturrett film. In February, it was Song of the Saddle, a Dick Foreign film. Rhythm on the Range, a Bing Crosby film, was released in July. The California Mail, another Dick Foreign film, came in November. Also in November, they were in The Big Show, a Gene Autry film. The year closed out with Roy, now listed as Dick Weston, playing a supporting role as kind of a bad guy against Gene Autry in The Old Corral. In 1938, Roy was the voice of the character Egghead in the Tex Avery cartoon, The Isle of Pingo Pongo.
As the sun sinks...
Now, boy?
Yeah, now.
Cowboys didn't always sing. The West went musical in the early 30s when some movie makers thought it might be fun to hear a few songs between gunshots. And they were right. The public was so hungry for these films that over 300 of them were made. By the early 40s, a Roy Rogers film could be expected to play in nearly half the country's theaters. Gene Autry set new fan mail records, receiving some 50,000 letters a month. Now, when all of this began, about 1934, you'll never believe who played a character named Singin' Sandy. Would you believe John Wayne?
The sky, you were my queen of queens.
The Duke didn't sing for long, but he helped set the stage for a new type of hero.
Come on, Slim!
This new breed of cowboy could still outride, outshoot, and outsmart the bad guys, but he was special. He could warble his way into the hearts of ranchers' daughters everywhere.
That's the first time I've ever been saved, and I loved every minute of it.
Well, if you're ever in peril, just call me. My name's Gene Autry.
Gene Autry.
Riding down the canyon to watch the sun go down.
Gene Autry was the first singing cowboy star, the first hero to use his own name as the character he played, the first man to receive a gold record. Gene and his horse, Champion, made 93 features together, more than any singing cowboy.
Get him, Champ.
Gene Autry's place in musical westerns is special. He was the first.
That gun gives you a little advantage, Autry.
Maybe this will make us even. Miss Williams, I'd like you to meet Roy Rogers.
Roy Rogers.
Then you'll be living Western star.
Roy Rogers was dubbed King of the Cowboys, and during his reign, made 89 features and 100 TV episodes with his horse Trigger. For 11 years, Roy was Hollywood's #1 money-making Western star. Roy Rogers and Dale Evans were one of America's favorite movie couples.
Do you know how to use this?
Yes.
Well, I guess you'd better come along with us.
Tex Ritter was a two-fisted lawman, the strong and silent type, formal with the ladies and firm with the outlaws.
I guess I'd better on my way now.
Tex made 4 of his 76 films with his favorite leading lady, Dorothy Fay.
I've been ordered to close the school. Town can't afford it.
She later became Mrs. Tex Ritter and my mom. My dad passed away in 1974.
Never mind them, Miss Manners. The school stays open.
I'm Jimmy Wakely, and this is my partner, Lazarus White.
You know that I'd be lonely here without you.
Jimmy Wakely emerged as a star of 28 westerns after playing as a backup musician in the films of the other stars. He was a mild-mannered, friendly cowboy, as quick on the guitar as he was on the draw.
That's fine, stranger. What's your name?
Allen, Rex Allen.
Rex Allen was the last of the singing cowboys, and the only one who was a real, honest-to-goodness cowboy. In the final 5 years of singing westerns, Rex turned out 19 films. Some people call the singing cowboy films horse operas, and for good reason. Wouldn't you agree? The horse was the cowboy's best friend, loyal helper, and closest companion.
There ain't no lady gonna break my heart as long as I have my horse. No vamp can take the place I stand. A man's best friend is his horse. He never hollers for $10,000 and doesn't cause me remorse. There ain't no lady gonna break my heart as long as I have my horse.
I beg your pardon, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Ain't no woman gonna worry me.
Not only did a horse go everywhere with his cowboy, he also got star billing, ahead of the leading lady and faithful sidekick.
Calling romance, a man's best friend is his horse.
Do you have anything planned for Saturday night?
Well, I'm afraid so. Why?
Well, they're having a dance at the town hall. I thought maybe...
That's fine. We'll be there.
Sometimes being a good horse just meant being a good listener.
Now, I wonder who the other half of we could be, champ.
But fate tore them apart and broke each lover's heart. Oh, so soon.
I wonder how Coco's doing.
Did you see what I saw, Trigger?
We haven't lost it yet, have we, champ?
You're looking for trouble, and that goes for your horse, too. Get him out of there.
Trigger, don't drink that. They wash your dirty clothes in there.
Who does?
You did this afternoon, only you had them on at the time, remember? Spit it out, Trigger. It's nasty.
So curse the gold.
Above all else, a singing Cowboys horse had to love music. He probably listened to twice as many serenades as any leading lady.
You'll be wild and woolly if you do. There's dust on my saddle, rust on my gun. No more campfires, no broncos to run. No more lazy cattle to graze in the sun. Dust on my saddle, rust on my gun.
Coco could get up and travel pretty good. Like I'd go to chasing a heavy in one of those shots like that, I'd have to actually pull back on him, hide it and pull back on him, or he'd overtake the guy before we wanted to.
That act's 90% horse and 10% rider.
Maybe you could do it better.
The horse I could.
The singing Cowboys horse seemed to have show business in his blood, and Trigger was no exception.
Oh, he would say yes and no and throw a kiss, and he did a whole dance routine, the hula hula and the high Spanish trot.
Gee, Roy, that's more than I do now.
I think you do pretty good.
Trigger had his own fan club?
Oh, yeah, we used to get a lot of letters, Trigger USA, from foreign countries, and he'd get them.
Len, now renamed Roy Rogers by Republic Pictures, bought his horse Trigger for $1,200 just after he signed his $75 a week contract with the studio and began making pictures. His first was Under Desert Stars with Smiley Burnett.
I had a real nice cast. It's my first picture, and they all helped me, and, you know, I didn't know anything about acting because I'd never taken any lessons or any singing lessons or anything. They had these things down pretty pat. They could do a whole picture in 7 or 8 or 9 days. In fact, my first picture, we made it in 9 days.
Did you see them? Yes, we turned them back. They've gone over the hill. Come on, get back here and get down.
Now, this looks like the area where they're going to blow up the dam.
We'll never get to the dam now. Unhook them horses.
It's old Roy. He's showing up. You see, somebody's got to save this situation. So, see, that wagon was supposed to blow up the dam, but old Roy showed up in time and saved the day.
That's the dynamite wagon. We better get out of here.
No, wait.
There's the leading lady. She's cheering me on. Then I went to every place, almost every state in the union, this whole first year, and it had openings, premieres of the picture. And I knew that the people liked it because of the reaction we got from it and personal appearances.
Roy's career was on the rise. Paired primarily with Smiley Burnett and Gabby Hayes, along with a myriad of leading ladies, Roy made 30 pictures between 1938 and 1943. During those same years, life at home was changing for Roy and Arlene, who had both wanted a family.
You know, I saw this little girl in Hope Cottage when she was about 6 weeks old. I started to go through there, and they had 42 little babies in those cribs. I got to about the 7th crib, and this little head popped up and looked me right in the eye. That's my oldest daughter, Cheryl. And then my wife got pregnant, and we had Linda. And then 3 years later, we had Dusty. Just a few days after he was born, we lost Arlene. A little blood clot got in the artery that led to her brain and killed her instantly. I had to accept it, and I knew that. I was numb most of the time.
He's rolled across your silver screen for over 40 years. He's brought bad men to justice. He's seen laughter and he's seen tears.
You can't talk to him, just say that Mama's gone and she's with God up in heaven and she won't be back. And we gotta live the best we know how, you know.
As the king of the Cowboys, there is magic in his name. He's the king of the Cowboys, a legend in his time, a man who loves his country, where he will always ride off into the sunset in a western sky of blue. He has given us precious memories and happy trails for me and you.
2 years prior to Arlene's passing, Roy found himself paired up with the actress who would eventually become his co-star in real life.
Bésame mucho.
Yeah, it's a pretty song.
It was a beautiful
Bésame
song.
mucho.
Dig that outfit I have on. Isn't that something? Look at
That's
that
beautiful.
dress. Yeah.
I remember
oh,
the-
wore, don't you remember I wore a black wig there?
Hey, there's old Roy.
Well, there. Do you like my song, do you think?
Yeah.
Huh? Do you think he likes my song?
I think so. He kind of looks like he got a grin on his face of some kind.
That was our first picture together.
Yeah.
Very first. You know, I didn't want to do westerns because I didn't think I was a western type. But evidently the people did. He was the fellow that was after me, remember that?
Yeah.
And he wanted the ranch.
Yeah,
that fellow.
that's the crook in the picture. Huh?
Yes, that's right.
But you know, he didn't get you.
No, he didn't. I used to do quite a bit of dancing in the pictures, too.
Yeah. You were a good dancer.
Yeah, I always loved, that's what I wanted to be when I was a little girl. I wanted to be a ballerina.
You didn't get much of a dancer when you got me.
You danced on a horse.
Yeah.
Tengo miedo perderte, perderte, amor.
Why, I'm not sure about this. I'm used to taxi cabs.
Well, I'll keep an eye on you. Come on, get on.
I loved horses. Always did as a child. I loved them. But I never really rode. About the only thing I ever rode were the goats at my uncle's ranch in Uvalde, Texas, out of San Antonio, you know? So I didn't think that I was right for a Western.
You know, something told me I wasn't the cowgirl type.
And when I went to work with Roy, I thought I was just going to do one picture. Well, I didn't want to be part of a team, and I didn't think it was right for Roy either. He didn't need me at all, because he was really on his way, you know. And he was up there, actually, when I started working with him.
Well, hello.
Hello.
Well, I've seen mirages before, but this is the first one that ever talked back.
I was sort of a foil for Roy. I would be a smart aleck gal from the East, always. That I'd come west to check on a ranch that my father had left or something. But I was smart aleck, you know, very smart aleck. And he taught me better.
You know, with the ticket number on it?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. You see, I'm new here and I don't know.
Oh, that's all right. You'll catch on to the ropes in no time.
I'll try my best.
What you need is a decoy.
Decoy?
Mm-hmm.
Gee, thanks. You don't know what this means to me.
That's okay. I'm glad to help you out.
There's a yellow rose in Texas I'm going there to see. No other fella knows her, no other, only me. She cried so when I left her, it broke her loving heart. And if we ever meet again, we'll never, never part. She's the rose of rarest beauty this fellow ever knew. Her eyes are bright as diamonds, they sparkle like the dew. You may sing of other pretty gals from Maine to Tennessee, but the yellow rose of Texas is the only rose for me.
Roy was just so much like my brother and my family, Texas. I mean, country people, you know what I'm saying? So much like them.
Shucks. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, do you think you might be able to help me?
Well, how'd you ever get yourself in a mess like that?
Never mind how I got here. How do I get off? Please help me off this thing. I can't swim. It's sinking.
You know, we worked together a long, long time. 26 pictures, that's a lot of association. And I knew his foibles and he knew mine.
Oh, what do you think you're doing?
I never could forget.
I ask you to help, not rob me of all the stupid, idiotic things I ever heard of in my life.
Then I met a girl named Mary.
He was here just a minute ago.
Who was?
That young fellow who pulled me out of the lake, Gabby. You know what I'm talking about.
Where'd he come from?
Well, I don't know where he came from. I was out there in the buckboard drowning, and I was calling for you, and I looked up, and here he was.
Handsome young feller?
Well, yeah. Say, you're not Roy Rogers.
That's right, ma'am.
Oh, gee, I think you're wonderful, Mr. Rogers. I see all your pictures.
Roy Rogers, eh?
Dad!
Could forget.
Oh, it's you again.
Say, you don't happen to know a rhyme for Saskatoon, do you?
What I really admired about him was his love for children. And he would tell me about when he went on tour about going to the hospitals where the sick children were, taking Trigger in there, you know. And that's the first thing he did when he got to a city. And I admired that because I had a son.
Handsome young feller, riding a beautiful horse, shows up out of nowhere, saves your life, and then just plumb disappears. Glory, you dreamed it.
I always wanted a big family with lots of children, always did. And he loved old people.
He was a knight wearing armor, anything you say.
He was so good to, what is it they call them now, seasoned citizens instead of senior citizens, seasoned citizens. So I always...
Go too far on that senior citizens.
That's right, that's right.
I
Because
just
we are
joined the
well
club here a while
seasoned.
back.
We are well seasoned, both of us. But we had a camaraderie, really.
Oh, I've got a million dreams and a Stetson full of schemes, so my future's always bright and gay.
We were in Chicago at the stadium. We were on horseback, both of us. We were announced, but right before we were announced to go in and do our show at the Chicago Stadium, Roy said, "What are you doing New Year's Eve?" And I said, "I don't know." I said, I don't have any plans. He said, "Why don't we get married?"
Though I'm not a millionaire, still I've happiness to spare. I've been saving for a rainy day.
I don't know how I raked up enough nerve to ask her, but I was getting ready to go into the arena, so I don't have to hang around and take the back talk. So I asked her about it, and it took off and got in the room.
Why worry about the weather? As long as we're together, we can always see it through.
And I said, "Well, let me think about it." And when we were through, he said, "Have you thought about it?" And I said, "The answer is yes. I'll take the chance."
Let it rain, helter-skelter. There's a shelter in view.
Why worry about the weather? As long as we're together, we can always see it through.
Before I married Roy, I suddenly got frightened about what I was going to do, and I wasn't really sure that I could bring it off with the 3 children. And I went into the closet and I prayed, and I promised God that if he would help me in this marriage, that there would never be a divorce under any circumstances, because I wanted to be a mother to these children. People gave us 6 months. We'll give them 6 months.
In addition to each other, Dale and Roy both loved children, and right from the start, their family began to grow.
Dale already had a son, Tom, from a previous marriage. Roy had Cheryl, Linda Lou, and Roy Jr. And then Dale became pregnant.
In August, here comes our little angel on the way, Robin. And I mean, nobody was more shocked than I, because I'd been told I couldn't have any more children. And when she was born, my joy, knew no bounds, because I wanted a little girl. I had a son, and I had 2 girls and Dusty, but I just wanted a little girl to raise, a baby, okay? And when I found out that she was Down syndrome, had I not been a Christian, it would have just killed me, because I don't think I could have taken it. But my faith sustained me. We had her for 2 years, and she had a defective heart. And she caught mumps and then encephalitis and brain fever and passed away 2 days before her 2nd birthday.
Roy and Dale adopted 4 more children. Dodie, a Native American. Sandy, who had come from abusive foster homes. Marion, a little girl from Scotland. And Debbie, a Korean orphan. There was an abundance of joy at the Rogers home.
Hiya, Rogers family.
Hello, Mr. Como.
It's a talking picture, too. Not only is it a talking picture, but it's a singing picture. Watch this, Mitch. If you've got
Friends and neighbors, all the world is a happier place. Friends and neighbors, put a smile on the gloomiest face. Just take your little troubles and share 'em. with the folks next door. Makes it twice as easy to bear 'em. That's what friends are for. If you've got friends and neighbors, there's something money won't buy. You can hold your head up high.
'Cause if you've not a penny, and your house may be tumbling down, with
friends and neighbors, you're the richest man in town.
Oh, that was just wonderful, and what a beautiful bunch of children.
Thank you, Perry. We're real proud of our kids because, after all, 5 of them chose to adopt us as parents.
And friends, the Roy Rogers, Dale Evans story is one of the most heartwarming stories that we've ever heard. I know that you would like to meet the youngsters personally and sort of have them tell you their names, so we'll start from the tall one here, Cheryl. Would you like to start it off, honey?
Cheryl, age 16, Dallas, Texas.
Marion, 15, Edinburgh, Scotland. Linda, 13, Hollywood, California. Dusty, 10, Hollywood, California. Sandy, Kentucky. Sandy, age 9, Kentucky.
Give me one more crack at that.
Okay, do it again.
One more, Sandy.
Sandy, age 9, Kentucky. Dodie Watson, Forest Road, Texas.
And you say yours loud, Debbie.
Debbie Watson, 4 years old, in Korea.
Texas.
I love that.
Texas.
But it wasn't all happy trails for the family. Debbie died in a church bus accident.
Little Debbie was on a mission to Tijuana, to an orphanage. Down there, these children had nothing, and the church that we belonged to at the time had a mission to go down there about every 2 months and take toys that had been redone and painted and fixed, and candy and fruit and clothes and things like that. Desperately poor people. And she had said, I was an orphan too in Korea. Please let me go. I want to be part of it. So I let her go. She had just passed her 12th birthday.
Sandy joined the Army when he was 17, but died in an accident while in the service in Germany.
That was hard too. Sandy's death was hard in Germany because he, in a sense, was a handicapped child. He was an abused child that we adopted when he was 5 years old.
They make a wonderful team.
Yeah.
Aside from Dale and Trigger, Roy had some other sidekicks as well.
Oh, I was real lucky, especially the one that's the outstanding one in all my pictures is old Gabby. He was like my father, my brother, and my buddy all wrapped up in one, and we appreciated one another and loved one another as near as two guys can love one another. He was something else, and he helped me a lot too. And so I was real fortunate in having him as my sidekick in most of my pictures, or a lot of them.
Stay away from me, you walking lamb chop.
At Brady, he did some, my sidekick at some pictures too.
Hope your driving's better than your coffee. You want to drive? Hey, no, put it back. Runs just as well that way. He never pays any attention to the direction I wanted to go anyhow. I say there ain't nothing to worry about. Put it back, you lunatic! Put it back! Why, you misplaced son of a half-wheeled hurricane, you killed me! Ah, shucks. You ain't hurt none. Little shaking up's good for your liver. Huh? What are you going to do about my car now that you've wrecked it? What am I going to do about it? I'm going to sue you for everything you've got. Well, that's all I got. Sue me.
And then I had Andy Devine, was a lot of fun.
Yes, sir, Constable Bullfincher, and no monkey business. Right.
Andy was a different type, and Smiley Burnett was another. He was a kind of a, they call it pratfall type of a comedian.
So popular was Roy Rogers that only Walt Disney had more merchandise with his name on it. Roy's, however, also had a pledge to parents that assured them that the licensed products were safe, wholesome, and upheld the values of Roy Rogers and Dale Evans.
Howdy, partners, and welcome to the Roy Rogers Riders Club. Trigger, say hello to the boys and girls, will you? That's it. Well, buckaroos, it's sure swell getting a chance to be here with you at our club meeting, and I can't think of a nicer way to start things off than with a Cowboys prayer. Oh, Lord, I reckon I'm not much just by myself. I fail to do a lot of things I ought to do. But, Lord, when trails are steep and passes high, help me to ride it straight the whole way through. And in the falling dusk, I get the final call. I do not care how many flowers they send. Above all else, the happiest trail would be for you to say to me, "Let's ride, my friend." Amen. You know, boys and girls, the real purpose of the Riders Club is for all of us to get together and become better acquainted. Help each other. Especially help prevent any and all kinds of accidents. Do that for me, will you? You know, the best Roy Rogers riders are the ones who live up to the rules on the back of your membership card. Well, sir, right now, Trigger and I have got a few things to take care of in Hollywood, so we're going to turn this meeting over to the ranch foreman of our club, the manager of this theater. I'll be looking for you at our meeting next week, so be sure to be here. And until then, from Trigger and me, goodbye, good luck, and may the good Lord take a liking to you. See you next week.
Hey, Dusty, how do you like this new Roy Rogers telephone set?
Sounds swell, Dad. Sure, I'll tell him. Ask your folks for this telephone set with my dad's name on it. The Roy Rogers telephone set.
A typical day in my life went something like this. I remember we had a Roy Rogers alarm clock. And then about 7 o'clock in the morning, that thing would go off and it had a terrible racket sound. I'd jump out of my Roy Rogers bed, which I have here with me, pull off my Roy Rogers PJs, and I'd go over to my Roy Rogers Dale Evans dresser. I'd get my belt on, my Roy Rogers belt. I'd put my Roy Rogers t-shirt on. I'd get my Roy Rogers shirt. I got Roy Rogers t-shirts here. See, we used to wear these. Get my Roy Rogers wallet. You had to have the Roy Rogers wallet. And in there would be my Roy Rogers Riders Club card. I'd put that on. Then I'd get my Roy Rogers watch. You know, everybody had to have a Roy Rogers watch. Put that on. Roy Rogers Riders Club pin. Had to have that on. Get my Roy Rogers knife. Put that in my pocket. Get my Roy Rogers hat. Put that on. Go over and get my Roy Rogers and Dale Evans satchel that I'd carry my books to school in. And then I'd get my little toys and put in there with Pat Brady and Nellie Bell. I'd turn out my Roy Rogers light and take my Roy Rogers camera and head on out to Roy Rogers Dale Evans driveway. I'd have everything. I had my Roy Rogers hat on, and I was standing with my Roy Rogers chaps and my gun belt on. I mean, to tell you, I was a hot thing, boy, I'll tell you.
Well, partners, I didn't have Dusty's dad or a Roy Rogers bed, but I sure had a lot of that other stuff. My collection includes comic books and books in those neat holders. The white binders are my trading card collection. Lots and lots of lobby cards and pictures, as you'll see. A DVD copy of every Roy Rogers movie, along with every Roy Rogers TV show. That's the Roy Rogers wagon train on the top of those DVDs, by the way. There's a Pecos Bill laser disc. And here is one of my favorites, the Roy Rogers horse trailer and Jeep in its original box, plus some photos in the background. And here's some more photos. On the left, those are trading cards. That's the original art for that trading card set. Again, lots and lots of photos of Roy, Roy and Dale, Roy and Trigger. There's my Roy Rogers guitar. How about that, huh? Moving down into one of my special cases. These are some smaller collectibles. Here you see a Roy Rogers trailer and, of course, trading cards. Take a look at these. These are hand-painted by Will Leary of South Carolina. Roy and Dale on Buttermilk and Trigger. Just a little close-up there. See the trading cards in the background. That's the Roy Rogers Double R Bar Ranch. There's Pat Brady and Bullet. There's that picture of Gabby Hayes and Dale and Roy that you saw earlier, plus a couple more trading cards. There's a still photo from Rainbow over Texas with Roy and Dale in an early appearance. This is one of my favorite pieces. That's a beautiful, beautiful hand-painted statue of Roy on Trigger. There's Trigger Jr. in the background. Behind that is some original art from a Roy and Dale coloring book. There's Pat Brady and Dale in Nellie Bell the Jeep. A jigsaw puzzle featuring Roy and Dale and Roy's son Dusty on the cover. There's my Roy Rogers stagecoach. That's Dale Evans inside waving hello to everybody. The Roy Rogers lantern, the Roy Rogers neckerchief, the Roy Rogers yo-yo, some more figures, some more trading cards, and my Roy Rogers holster and pistol. And behind that is the Dale Evans, along with a photo of Roy and the Sons of the Pioneers. This is Daddy's Little Cowboy, a song sheet about a song about Daddy's Little Cowboy. That's Roy and Dusty on the cover there. There's a Roy Rogers lunchbox and thermos, along with a copy of Happy Trails. Moving inside, we see another Nellie Bell the Jeep, along with Pat Brady and Bullet. And this is one of the most rare Roy Rogers collectibles I have. An early Chuck wagon. And a great photo of Roy and some kids in front of it. That's a personal photo of Roy and his father and some of his cousins. Another Roy Rogers Chuck wagon. That one's the mate of the stagecoach, and some original art, along with a few more videos. One of my autographed Roy Rogers pictures on the left, and on the right, the original art from a Roy Rogers Whitman book. On the left, my collection of pulps, my hat, and my Roy Rogers Dale Evans Heartland figures box. Those numbers behind that indicate the folders I have for his Sunday comic strip. Here in the background, we see some original art from the daily Roy Rogers newspaper strip, and the figures in front represent my childhood TV favorites. There's the Rebel, the Rifleman, Wagon Train, Wyatt Earp, Gunsmoke, Tales of Wells Fargo, Roy Rogers, Rin Tin Tin, and The Lone Ranger. And we've got this scene of mayhem going on in the middle of town with some bad guys holding things up. Panning to the right, we see the last of my childhood TV favorites. That's Davy Crockett. This whole thing is designed as an homage to this classic film clip from Alias Jesse James, starring Bob Hope, Rhonda Fleming, and a host of Western guest stars.
Milford, be careful. I know Jesse. He's dangerous.
Look for some ammunition.
You fool! You might hit Jesse.
Down, Mr. Queasley, down.
What are you trying to do, ruin me?
I got no time to talk to you. I'm gonna get killed in a minute.
You'll get killed when I tell you to. I've sent for the proper authorities. They'll handle this. Hey, you ruffians! Put down those guns. I'm making a citizen's arrest.
Mr. Queasley, Mr. Queasley. Mr. Queasley. Oh. There you are, Mr. Queasley. Have one on me.
Look.
Darling, are you all right? Yeah, you're all right.
Is he dead?
No, he's one of those sneak drinkers. Here, stop making a pig of yourself.
Look out.
Huh? Oh, he's mine.
You got him.
Of course, I had him surrounded. Here, notch that. Oh, I'll get him.
That got him.
Ah, that's one more. Notch it again.
Well, back to the wagon.
Wonderful, Milford.
Oh, you want more, huh?
Well, another one for Boot Hill.
I'll bet they're sorry they ever tangled with me.
Happy trails to you.
You hot little heater. You want a teddy bear, baby? Stand by.
Frank, give me a light. Shoot at my friend, will you?
Make smaller notches. I may run out of the handle.
I never saw such shooting. A little high.
I'm slicing again.
Yep.
Man, do I handle this thing.
Milford, I think there's a man behind that barrel.
Huh? Give me that rifle. Poor fool, he never had a chance.
Pale-faced by dust.
Somebody's been smuggling guns to the Indians. Anybody left out there?
This is the shot I've been waiting for.
All right, stick your head up, I dare you.
This fella needs all the help he can get.
Man, I didn't know he could shoot like that.
Yeah. All right, drop those guns or I'll show no mercy.
Anything you say, Milford. Throw down your guns, boys.
There they are. Ha, I didn't think they'd give up that easily. How about that?
The 1950s are known as the heyday of the American Western, especially on TV. Now, not all shows were made for kids, but come Saturday morning, you know what I was watching.
Post, the cereals you like the most, bring you Roy Rogers, King of the Cowboys, Trigger, his golden palomino, and Dale Evans, Queen of the West, with Pat Brady, their comical sidekick, and Roy's wonder dog, Bullet.
We made all of our TV shows right there on the ranch in Chatsworth. We had our own lake and everything. Running insert roads, had the whole thing. We'd get up and get out of bed and get made up and start shooting right out of the bedroom.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Double R Bar Ranch. And just to show you how glad we are that you could join us today, Trigger's going to take a little bow.
Buttermilk was a little quarter horse, and he was, see him turn around there? This was lunchtime on location. That's old Harry Harvin. He was the sheriff of the series. Oh, Pat, he had a rubber face. He could do anything with that face. I put him in Nellie Bell, the Jeep, because Jeeps were real popular during the war. I'd pass a bunch of kids waiting for a bus, and you could see them pointing at the Jeeps and punching each other. She said, there goes one, you know, and you could tell what they were talking about, the Jeep. So I thought, if there's that much interest in it, well, I believe I'll put old Pat on the Jeep instead of on the horse.
Come on in, friends, and help us celebrate belonging to the greatest country in the whole world. We believe in doing everything possible to show our love for America, and that includes respecting our flag. She's a proud, beautiful symbol.
One sure way to protect our country is to follow its laws.
That's right. A country is mainly the people who live in it, and the laws are the rules to live by. So respect those laws and love that flag.
And now let's stop for a minute. It's time for Post. Post Sugar Crisp.
One early morning cast adrift three bears without a paddle. Who'll save us from the roaring falls? Roy Rogers in the saddle. He whirls his lasso overhead with Trigger set to check fast.
A perfect throw!
He yanks them in and says,
let's go to breakfast.
Post Sugar Crisp is here for all to fill the bowl before you. The candy-coated cereal already sweetened for you. Fresh honey-flavored puffs of wheat so crispy that they crunch. They're wonderful for breakfast, between meals or for lunch. So eat it by the bowlful or right from the package straight. For nourishment and energy, Roy Rogers says it's great.
Yes, sir, buckaroos. Sugar Crisp is my favorite, and I want you to try it for breakfast. And as a snack between meals. Why, you can even eat it right out of the box. Get Post Sugar Crisp right away. For breakfast, it's dandy.
For snacks, it's so handy.
Or eat it like candy.
For goodness sake, get Post Sugar Crisp.
So until next week, then, goodbye, good luck, and may the good Lord take a liking to you.
Bye. Bye.
Trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds if we're together?
Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather.
Happy trails to you till we meet
Hey, thanks for dropping by the Morehouse Museum. Come back again. Till then, I'm just going to keep on collecting history.